I wasn't proud of how far I'd let things slide. The truth was, I'd been avoiding the grocery store for days because I knew the numbers didn't add up. Rent was due in a week, the electric bill was already late, and my paycheck from the diner barely stretched far enough to cover the basics. But milk was gone, bread was gone, and my daughter's lunchbox would be empty come morning if I didn't do something. So, on a cloudy Tuesday afternoon, I walked into the store with a half-crumpled shopping list and a gnawing sense of dread. The place smelled like fresh bread and roasted chicken, the kind of scent that makes your stomach remember it's hungry. I pushed the cart down the aisles, carefully scanning prices, weighing store brands against name brands. Every choice felt like a negotiation with myself. I reached the checkout line with maybe 12 items. It wasn't much, some pasta, canned soup, eggs, apples, and the cheapest cereal I could find. My daughter, Ellie, was 6, and she loved that cereal, even though it came in a plain box with no cartoon mascot. The cashier, a young guy who looked barely out of high school, scanned my items without much expression. I clutched my debit card like a lifeline, knowing the balance in my account was painfully low. When he read me the total, my stomach dropped. It was just over what I had in the bank. I thought about asking him to put a few things back, but the line was long, and people were watching. Heat rose to my face. I was about to open my mouth when I heard a voice behind me. "I've got this," the voice said. I turned to see a man I didn't recognize. Mid-40s, maybe, wearing a faded baseball cap and a flannel shirt. His eyes were kind, but steady, like he'd already made up his mind. "That's not necessary," I stammered, already embarrassed. He smiled faintly. "I know it's not, but I want to." Before I could protest, he handed the cashier his card. The beeping of the machine felt strangely loud in the moment, and I just stood there, frozen. The young cashier handed me the receipt, and I muttered a shaky, "Thank you." My hands trembled as I bagged the groceries. The man just nodded, like it was no big deal, and started to walk away. Something in me refused to let him leave like that. I hurried after him into the parking lot. "Why did you do that?" I asked. He glanced at me over his shoulder. "Because once, a stranger did it for me." And then, he got into his truck and drove away. No name, no explanation, just gone. For the rest of the day, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Who was he? What was his story? Why choose me? I told Ellie about it over dinner, and her eyes lit up in that way only a child's can. "That's like a superhero," she said between bites of pasta. But real. The next morning, something shifted in me. The weight I'd been carrying, shame, stress, exhaustion, felt just a little lighter. And I realized something. Maybe the point wasn't to figure out who he was. Maybe the point was to keep the chain going. It didn't happen overnight, but over the next few months, I found small ways to do for others what he'd done for me. Slipping a few extra dollars into the tip jar at the coffee shop, buying an extra sandwich for the man who sat near the bus stop, offering my last umbrella to a woman caught in the rain. I didn't always have much to give, but I gave anyway. And every time, I saw a spark of that same stunned gratitude I'd felt in the grocery store that day. The day I finally had enough in my account to not just cover my bills but breathe a little, I found myself back in that same store. I was in line behind a young mother, her toddler tugging at her sleeve, her face pale with worry as she watched the total climb. When the cashier announced the price, she hesitated. I could see it, the quick glance at her wallet, the tiny shake of her head. Before I could overthink it, I stepped forward. "I've got this," I said. Her eyes widened. "You don't have to." "I know," I told her. "But I want to." I swiped my card before she could argue. She stared at me like she was trying to memorize my face. I knew exactly how she felt. As I walked out of the store, I realized I didn't need to remember the man's name or face to honor him. I was carrying his kindness forward, and maybe one day, she would too. That's the thing about small acts of generosity. They don't just change the day, they change the story.